Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Inside the Force. Thanks for joining me. I am David Cottingham, back with you after a couple weeks and got a lot to go over. Mainly some books news from the High Republic, lots of new comics coming out. And the biggest thing is, of course, the book of Boba Fett just dropped yesterday, the very first episode. So I will be briefly talking about that a little bit. If you guys don't know already, I do another show with a gentleman named Martin Donison, aka Cyber Ren, over on the Mandalorian podcast, and we are doing deep dives into all the Star Wars series that are on Disney Plus. And we covered Mandalorian, the Clone Wars, the Bad Batch, and now we're going to be covering the Book of Boba Fett. So that we record that on Sundays, it drops on Mondays. So we'll be going really deep into that. So on this show, we usually just do kind of an overview review, and that's what I'll be doing towards the end of this episode. Giving my overall thoughts of the episode. So thanks for joining me. Want to say, big shout out to people that are still commenting and following and all that stuff. So really, really appreciate that. First thing I do want to get into right now is, let's see, first bit of news that I have here in my notes. Oh, I actually just got back from Disney World again. Again, I say that again, like I do go pretty frequently. Very blessed in that aspect. My wife, Brooke Cottingham, is actually a Disney vacation planner. So anybody out there that's got hopes and dreams and wants to go to Disney World or Disneyland in California, she can help plan your trip. And it doesn't cost any more than you would do if you were doing it yourself. You get her helping you plan and book your trip. Again, we've been fortunate enough to go for, 7 years now in a row. And we've tried different resorts down in Disney World. We've tried all kinds of different restaurants and different snacks and all the rides, to kind of give everybody that has questions a more opinionated answer so that we can help guide them, what resorts are preferred and things like that, or what works best for if it's just adults going or if it's adults and kids going and what age of the kids and stuff like that. So, so if you need help with that, I haven't really plugged her on the show, I don't think, but she's at Brooke Cottingham Travel on Facebook. You can go there and message her or fill out a Google form that'll answer a bunch of questions from her that'll get you started. So anyway, enough plugging her. But because of that, it allows us some perks to be able to go down to Disney World. And actually, we're thinking about in 2022 going to Disneyland. So I will keep you updated on that. But this is, again, fortunately, this was my fourth trip since Batuu or Galaxy's Edge has been open. So I'll talk mainly about that, obviously, because this is a Star Wars show, right? We do hit up all the parks, but that's the central part of Disney World that is Star Wars related. So by far, it's unbelievable to still be able to walk through there and experience the sounds and the sights of Star Wars. That'll never get old, ever. I do think eventually, again, for someone like me that's been there several times now, eventually down the road, I think something has to get updated, and I believe it will. I don't think they can keep it the way it is forever. The great thing about this trip, though, is we were able to go with another family. Corey Cooley, who's been a guest on the show several times, and part of the family. He's actually my nephew, my wife's nephew. His wife and daughter were able to go as well on this past trip right before Christmas. And so I got to see him, walking into Batu for the first time, getting his reaction. I'm going to have him on the show probably next week to give his perspective. But based on what I saw and what we talked about, he was fully engaged, was able to build a lightsaber and just have some blue milk and ride both of the rides, Rise of the Resistance and Smuggler's Run. I mean, he had a blast. He even said we were able to get into Oga's Cantina, have a couple drinks. He definitely experienced a lot of it, if not all of it. Bought several things and definitely enjoyed it. I mean, just like any Star Wars fan, I think you'd be crazy not to be fully immersed and excited to go to Batu. And we're, of course, again, talking about when we're going to be able to do Star Cruiser, which is the Star Wars hotel experience. So we'll keep talking about that and try to squeeze that in at some point in the next year or two. So anyway, Galaxy's Edge, had a great time. We rode Rise of Resistance a couple times. We rode, no, actually we didn't ride twice because the second time it was broken. It was unavailable. So we had to cancel our reservations for that. Rode Smuggler's Run once, and then obviously just walked around the place for a while. We do 2 days at Hollywood Studios, so able to take it all in and enjoy it. And it's just fantastic. I can't wait till, we're a little bit more past this pandemic and the characters can once again walk through the crowds. Right now, they're still further away from you and, standing on platforms and you can't really engage them and stuff like that. So can't wait till that is over with. And it just feels crazy. It's cool to see Vi Marathi. If you don't know who Vi Marathi is, she's a character in the novels and a spy for the Resistance that helps establish, some sympathizers and grow the Resistance on Batu. And she's got purple hair and she's got a orange jacket, and it's great because like when it was pre-pandemic and we went, you can occasionally see Vi just kind of walking through the crowd and hiding from the stormtroopers that are walking around, and just really neat. You're just in the moment in Star Wars, and it's so cool. But a little bit of that is gone with the pandemic, so it is a great feeling and sense I'm sure that Corey had. But again, I experienced it fully when I went the first time in 2019, and it was better. It just was better. But it's definitely not going to keep me from going again. So I'm sure we'll plan a trip again next year as long as my daughters keep wanting to go, and we'll do it again. Okay, so that is that. Had a great time. I haven't bought anything there lately. I did buy just a Star Wars shirt, a black shirt that had Star Wars on it. But I am thinking about maybe doing another lightsaber again, because I did do one the first time. I haven't done one since, and I may do another one at some point, but we'll see. Maybe if I go to Disneyland, I might build one out there. Anyway, let's see. Other news to talk about. The High Republic, can you believe it, is actually coming up on its 1 year anniversary here soon. For those of you who don't remember, High Republic was actually supposed to launch at Star Wars Celebration in 2019. I'm sorry, 2020. But it got delayed because Star Wars Celebration got delayed. And am I right about that? Yes, I think I'm right about that. And so it didn't launch until January 2021. And now we're coming up on obviously the year anniversary. So, Star Wars, if you're interested, on January 4th, 2022, they're doing a special edition of Star Wars, the High Republic show. And it's going to be at 10 a.m. Pacific time. So that's 7 a.m. I'm sorry, that's 1 o'clock East Coast time, which I'm on. And it's a celebration of phase one. And they're going to, have exclusive interviews with Claudia Gray and Justina Ireland, Daniel Jose Older, Kevin Scott, and Charles Soule, the main writers of the High Republic series. And they're going to give us our first intel of phase two. Now, we know a lot of the novels that are coming out here in this first wave of phase two. Comics are going to be continuing, but there's a lot of things I have to catch up on anyway on phase one to get excited about this. But I am excited. I'm glad this is continuing. I think High Republic is gaining steam. I think it's getting even bigger if we get some other contributions to the era, for example, games or TV shows or movies or something like that, things that they're talking about developing. So hopefully that continues, because I think that'll just heighten the excitement for it, get people to go back and read these novels and read these comics, because they are pretty good stories. It's actually going really well. So again, if you want to tune in on that, that's January 4th, which is, I think, Tuesday, right? Yeah, that's a Tuesday. So again, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern for you guys. So go check that out. Lots of things happening coming in phase two, and I'll talk about the novels later here that's coming out, starting the first of the year. Another bit of news that I thought this was really cool. I can't actually wait for this. Han Solo and Chewbacca are getting their own comic series here. I believe this will probably be maybe just a 5-issue, 6-issue run. Could be an ongoing. I don't think it really says. It's just as a new series from Marvel. Will launch March 2022, called Han Solo and Chewbacca, written by Mark Guggenheim and penciled by David Messina. This monthly comic follows Han and Chewie a few years before the events of A New Hope, as the duo teams up with Greedo in better times, apparently, on a heist for Jabba the Hutt. Awesome. Greedo's in it. Han and Chewie are in it. It's pretty crazy. And I got to say, it's funny, because if you look at some of the cover art that's already released out there, of course, it happens closer to A New Hope. So the illustration and the likeness of Han is more centered towards Harrison Ford and not Alden. So that means he's older, and he's, again, once it's almost by A New Hope. So this is right before A New Hope. So actually a few years. So we're talking a couple of years before A New Hope. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Mark, there's a little article on StarWars.com if you want to talk to Mark Guggenheim about the series a little bit. So that, I'm pretty excited about that. I think that'll be cool to read. And again, I think it'll probably just be a short run series. So you can pick up those issues. I'm sure once those issues are done and collected, we will talk about them on Beyond the Saga. But I'll probably read those as those are coming out, because I cannot wait for that. That's pretty cool. Han and Chewie. Want more Han and Chewie for sure. And then I guess one of the last things just want to mention, which is crazy, is I think it was yesterday, the 5-year anniversary of the passing of Carrie Fisher. Some great tweets I saw online, paying tribute to Carrie. I think, Mark Hamill did a special tweet too. I cannot believe it's been 5 years. That is unbelievably crazy. Um, but that hit hard, I think, for a lot of us Star Wars fans. But it's great to remember her and read some tweets about her and see some video of her. And you can't see it, but I've got a picture of her right here above my desk that I got at Celebration. The first year she passed. So, or right after the Celebration, right after she passed. So, anyway, just thought I'd mention that. And, if you haven't read some of those things online, go read some of those. It's good tributes that people have put out there, especially guys like Mark Hamill. So, unbelievable. Definitely need to watch some Star Wars in her honor this weekend. Okay, so upcoming releases, just to get you aware, going into the new year. Like I said, High Republic is kicking off next month. So January 4th, the day of the interviews that I mentioned, The Fallen Star drops, which is the next novel in the High Republic series. And then on February 1st, you got Midnight Horizon, which is a High Republic novel. April 5th, Queen's Hope, which is that third book in the Padme trilogy there by E.K. Johnston. Brotherhood, which is the Anakin Obi-Wan novel that comes out May 10th. You got Shadow of the Sith, June 28th. That's the Luke Skywalker post Return of the Jedi, pre The Force Awakens story about trying to go after that Wayfinder. And then you got Padawan on July 26th. Upcoming comics coming in January. You got Dr. Aphra 17 coming January 5th. You got the High Republic, Eye of the Storm #1. That book, which drops January 12th, is going to be about Marchion Ro, the main antagonist right now, as far as I know, in the High Republic series. He is the leader of the Nihil. And then you got Star Wars #20, January 12th, the High Republic 13, January 19, Dr. Aphra 18 on January 19. You get 2 books from Dr. Aphra that month. Wow. The High Republic Trial of Shadows #4, January 26th. And then you got the Halcyon Legacy #1. Now the Galactic Star Cruiser hotel experience I was mentioning earlier, the ship that you're cruising on is called the Halcyon. Well, there's a comic series coming out, and then Halcyon Legacy #1 is the first one that drops, and that's February 2nd. Pretty cool how they're going to do it. Very similar to what they did with Galaxy's Edge. I remember when Galaxy's Edge was coming out, they put out several novels, several comics that told a little bit about the story of the history of Galaxy's Edge and Batu and Black Spire Outpost. So it seems like they're doing the same with this. The Halcyon has been around for generations. In fact, I think some of these stories even date back to the prequels, maybe even I think it's the High Republic and the prequels, and then, of course, to where we are now, which is the Resistance, First Order timeline. So looking forward to that as well. Okay. That is kind of everything I want to cover as we go into the new year here. Of course, next week, which I want to try to get Corey on the show next week, talk about his experience with Batu and going to Disney World. And what we do in the new year, typically, that episode is look back, at the previous year. We'll look back at 2021, kind of the big announcements and the things that we enjoyed the most from Star Wars. So look for that next week. Like I said, I'll have Corey on here with me and we will knock that out. But okay, let's get into the Book of Boba Fett. Chapter 1 dropped just this past Wednesday, yesterday for me. And it's let's just start out by saying I'm gonna look up something here real fast. Just want to make sure I get the title right, because it was titled "Stranger in a Strange Land." That made me think, honestly, when I first saw that, because he's on Tatooine which he's very familiar with because he obviously has worked for Jabba for a long time. I guess they could be meaning that the strange land is the underworld, because obviously Boba Fett has been a bounty hunter all these years, hired gun, hired bounty. He hasn't ever been a crime lord, right? So that could be the strange land they're referring to. He's a stranger in that strange land where he's never been in charge of an entire organization like this. So that's kind of where my head went when I first saw that. I was like, okay, well, he's not a stranger to Tatooine or to the people that he's meeting with, because he apparently knows most of them. But he's a stranger to this underworld. And I think it was a big speculation. I think everybody knew at some point we would see how he got out of the Sarlacc that he fell into in Return of the Jedi. I was actually surprised that it happened so early. I mean, the first thing we see is him reflecting as he's laying in that bantha tank. He's reflecting back and seeing the images of how he survived, which is pretty cool. I mean, it's funny because there's artwork out there. It's a lot of artwork out there of Boba's escape. And a lot of these images reminded me of a lot of those that I've seen over the years, where it's just tight quarters and there's just, the acid stuff all over the place. And, he's trying to cut his way out, and this one, he just uses his flamethrower to kill the Sarlacc from the inside. So I thought that was pretty cool. I thought it was really cool seeing the images from episode 2. I thought that was really neat, especially when, which I don't know if that's, I forgot to look that up. I don't know if that's a recreation of the episode 2 shot of Boba holding the Jango helmet, or if they actually use a different angle from the movie. I mean, it does look like Daniel Logan, holding that helmet. But obviously they could recast somebody and make him dress the same way. I know in the end credits, there's somebody listed as young. I believe there's actually someone listed as young Boba. But I could be wrong about that. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that's a recreation or if it's a different angle. Because obviously when you're shooting a movie like that, you're doing a bunch of takes with different angles, and there's different footage to use for something like that. So I don't know. I think, actually there is in the credits. I forgot to look at that. There is in the credits a young Boba Fett. So, but it's Daniel Logan. So it is a shot from episode 2, an actual shot. Really cool. I think that was really well done. I really like how they did that. And then, of course, there's a shot of Camino on there as well, which is pretty neat. So anyway, we see him getting out, which I thought was really cool. And then we see kind of his time with the Raiders, which I gotta believe, because I did feel like a little bit that this did drag on a little bit, as far as the sequence with the Raiders and with the young Tusken Raider, and obviously this creature that eventually comes out. I kind of feel like this could be just me, because we never really saw the ending of that, right? Fennec comes in and kind of wakes him up. I feel like, even though it goes back to his time with the Raiders towards the end of this episode, this chapter, I do believe that we're going to see more of this throughout the series. So the 7 episodes of the series, I do think there's going to be some flashbacks of his time with the Raiders and how he got, we're going to see more of that time gap between when he got out of Sarlacc to where he is now, which is about 5 years later. I don't know if anybody's familiar with the DC TV show Arrow, which is funny, 5 years, right? He spends 5 years on the island, and on the show, there's a current timeline story going on where it's when he gets off the island, and then you see flashbacks each season 5 years from that point. So I feel like this is kind of the same thing where you've got Boba, establishing himself as this crime lord, but then we're going to see flashbacks of how he survived and what he did. Because I think there's going to be possibly some significant story there. Not just that he survived, and as we know, he eventually got his armor from Din, the Mandalorian. But I feel like there's got to be something there. They wouldn't show this much of that, I don't believe, unless there was something there. There's something that he learns or that he picks up, something that helps him in his journey. I mean, obviously he doesn't become a part of the Sand People, but it feels like he does learn their ways in a sense, because when we see him in the Mandalorian, right, he's got what seems like their robes and their weapons. So he either wipes them out themselves and takes them, or he becomes part of their way of life a little bit. And that's maybe why, my big question I remember when we were talking about the Mandalorian podcast was, what has he been doing for 5 years? Why is it taking him so long to track down his armor if that's what he wanted to do? And, he knows he's probably learned that Jabba died, because when he got, maybe, I don't know. I guess he maybe has to find that out. It doesn't seem like he was conscious enough to see the sail barge there destroyed. So maybe he has to learn a bunch of this stuff over the next 5 years. Like, what happened to Jabba? What's the state of the underworld? What's the state of the government, right? Because the Empire is done. He didn't obviously know that has happened. He was stuck in the Sarlacc pit while Luke and the rebels were, destroying the Death Star and killing the Emperor. So things are changing as he's trying to survive. And I think we'll see why those things happen. I think those are questions that even someone like Filoni and Favreau would probably have. And I think those questions need to be answered. And I think that's what we're going to get. I think it'll be less and less each episode, because I think they need to focus on the present and what he's doing with the underworld and trying to be the crime lord there. But I think we're still going to get some significant flashback scenes that are going to help tell that Boba Fett story. So that's what I got from this episode, really was the pacing of it. I think it very much seems and feels like the Mandalorian, shot very similarly, probably a lot of the same DPs. I haven't really researched that yet. Obviously Rodriguez directed this one, and he directed the episode where Boba was officially brought back in the Mandalorian. So, it looks great. They do have some guest directors on this series, so we'll see how those turn out. But I think it's a great start. I wouldn't say, I don't think it was better than the first episode of The Mandalorian. I think there was a lot more mystery with The Mandalorian. Of course, the ending, just the reveal of Grogu, Baby Yoda at the time, was just jaw-dropping. I don't think there was any really jaw-dropping moments for me in this. I thought there was going to be. I waited to the end to really thought something was going to be revealed, but no, I think this truly is just the story of Boba Fett. What happened to him after that Sarlacc and what he plans to do. And here's the thing: Boba Fett is probably, I would say, has always been probably my second favorite character. it's funny because, a lot of people have Princess Leia or Han or Luke as their favorite character, maybe even Obi-Wan. I've always, ever since I saw the original trilogy, now obviously he didn't show up until the second one, but my favorite character for years has always been Yoda. Hands down, Yoda is my favorite character. And then, of course, the mystery of Boba Fett as you watch Empire and then Jedi, and he's very, very little screen time, barely in it, barely says anything. But he steals the show. He's just you can tell, like, especially in Empire Strikes Back, you can tell that he demands respect and that he demands cooperation, because you don't want to, mess with this guy or double cross this guy. And I just felt like the mystery of him was what was so intriguing. Never saw his face. Obviously, you never knew where he came from at that point. So there was a little bit of, I would say, hesitation or uncertainty once the prequels came out, because you knew Yoda was going to be in it. And I remember thinking there's a possibility that they could mess up the Yoda character. I mean, he was a puppet in episode 1 when it first came out. They would since went back and reworked him in as a digital character, which I actually really liked the digital character of Yoda. I thought it was well done. I thought the fighting episode 2, again, that was a very, oh no moment. Like, is this going to be done right? I think it was done really well. I don't think the prequels changed. It definitely didn't change my perception of Yoda. And I don't think it changed really anybody's perception of Yoda. I think we envisioned Yoda like that, and that's what we got. Now with Boba Fett, because of the, which I don't know much of, but because of the legend stories that are out there, there was several different origin stories, a couple different origin stories of Boba Fett. And then, of course, what happened to him. He did get out of the Sarlacc in Legends. But as far as the canon of Boba Fett, we don't know much about him, right? Again, prior to the prequels, all we knew was Empire and Jedi as far as canon goes. Now, it looked like he was a Mandalorian because he wore Mandalorian armor. But again, we didn't really have a backstory of Mandalorians. So when the prequels came out, and all of a sudden we find out, wait a minute, there's a guy that looks like he's wearing the same armor, flying around, shooting at Obi-Wan. And I'm referring to episode 2, obviously. But we find out that Jango is basically the original owner of that armor. And he is a template for the clones. Wants to have a clone unaltered that he raises as a son, who happens to be Boba Fett. I remember watching that in episode 2 thinking, wow, that is actually a cool origin story. I actually really like that. And I think Tamar Morrison was a great choice as Jango. I think that what they did with the Clone Wars series in furthering Boba's story and how he got involved with the bounty hunters, being basically almost raised a little bit by Aurra Sing and hanging out with Bossk and Dengar and those guys. Thought that was really cool. Now there's an unaired version of the Clone Wars that showed how he got the dent in his helmet with a standoff against Cad Bane. I actually believe that that's a possibility. We see that flashback in live action. Just saying. I want to throw that out there because I do think Cad Bane is going to show up in this series, and I think there could be like a real quick flash to that encounter, but we'll see. We'll see. But again, that there was some risk in introducing the origin story of Boba Fett, because I think a lot of people like the mystery of it, and of that character. Now, I think it sat well with people that he is a clone. He's one of the clones, basically, but he's an unaltered clone. So, but so it didn't do anything as far as change my perception of Boba, because Boba Fett, he was really young at that point. We haven't really gotten any stories of him older, right? So that's where it gets interesting. We don't really have anything of him between episodes 3 and 4. We do have a little bit now between 5 and 6 because of the War of the Bounty Hunters comic that just came out. So you get a little bit of Boba Fett in that, him trying to bring Carbonite Han Solo to Jabba and what happens there. But now we're getting post Return of the Jedi Boba again. And I just hope again that this series just justifies that character a little bit more. It doesn't change my perception of him, because again, he's one of my favorites. And as you add more and more story to characters, it's just possible that your perception can change of them, right? You don't like the story, or you don't like where they're taking this character. There's things that could happen that could change that. I just hope that doesn't happen here. And I don't think it will, but it is a possibility. And I say that long story because when I watched this episode, I don't think I enjoyed it, but it didn't really, I didn't really walk away saying, wow, that was awesome, like I did the first episode of The Mandalorian. Thought it was good. Thought it was well done, well shot, well acted, all that stuff. Visual effects, obviously top notch, but just there wasn't that hook, in my opinion, that really wanted me to come back. Definitely, I'm going to come back definitely for the second episode, but it wasn't like edge of my seat, like, wow, I got to see this thing tomorrow. But anyway, that's my kind of overall feeling of the episode. Love to hear your take on it. Drop a comment on the video if you're watching on YouTube. Or you can email me your comments, mail@insidetheforce.com. And I'll look through them and read them and even mention them on the show. Speaking of, I did want to kind of go through some comments again that we've gotten on some of the videos again that we've posted the last couple of weeks. We posted a couple behind the sagas that me and Hannah had done. I did a show a couple of weeks ago, obviously before I left. So anyway, I think that's all I wanted to talk about on Book of Boba Fett. I mean, again, I think it was really good. Check out the Mandalore podcast on Monday, and you'll get a deep dive from me and Cyber Ren on the episode. We'll kind of break down even more than obviously what I've been talking about here, but yeah, it was really really good. I thought it was really good. And hopefully it just keeps getting better and better. Okay, since the last episode, let's see, I did the last episode I talked mainly about the timeline of shows coming out, and just got some comments from of course Thrawn Addict. Great to have you back. Thanks, Thrawn Addict. Jojo Jar Jar mentioned that he's also very excited for Eclipse. Yes. And I'm going to have Martin Donison, Cyber Ren, on my show here talking about that because he's a big gamer, and we're going to talk about Eclipse a little bit more. And he says, I hope you're well again. I am. I am. I guess I did mention I was sick for a couple of weeks there with COVID. But yes, I am well. I am 100% now. So all good there. And then let's see. Talking about Behind the Saga, throwing out a great review once again. This is for Out Amongst the Stars. Can't wait until you review the later issues of the comic series. And then he mentions, then they mentioned Thrawn Attic. All the reviews are great. More High Republic and Dr. Aphra reviews. Yes, High Republic is definitely going to continue. We went through volume 1. Once volume 2 comes out, we'll go through that. Dr. Aphra, me and Hannah have talked about. We definitely need to dive in Dr. Aphra. It's amazing how popular she's getting, and that comic series is doing well. They keep running it. So there's 2 volumes of that right now. They're on the second volume still. So we need to tackle the first volume. But that is 2 ongoing series that we need to continue on. We will. No problems there. So again, thanks for listening, guys. And again, we got a lot of things changing in 2022. So I'll keep you guys up to date about that, but we'll continue to be doing the podcast and the YouTube channel, but got more ideas to kind of hopefully get out there a little bit more and do things a little bit more and get some more watchers and listeners and stuff like that. So be on the lookout for that. Because 2022 is a whole new year. Hopefully we can get through this pandemic fully and not worry about it anymore. That'd be a great day. Can't wait for that day. Big happy new year to everyone. Hope everybody enjoys themselves, stays safe, and we all get into 2022 healthy and happy, and we continue enjoying Star Wars, because 2022 is a big year for it. Not only is there Disney Plus series is coming out all year long, you got Star Wars Celebration coming in May. I'm not sure if I'm going to be there or not, which is killing me. I haven't missed a celebration since I found out about them. Star Wars Celebration 3 back in 2005 was my first. I've gone to every one of them since. So I don't want to break my streak, but it's a possibility that might happen this year. Like I said, you got the Galactic Star Cruiser opening this year. Hopefully we get some big announcements this year on where the movies are going, what other shows are coming Disney Plus here in 2023 or 2024, more Ahsoka news, hopefully The Acolyte, all kinds of stuff like that. So big stuff coming from Star Wars in the next year. And I'm going to be right here with guests and everything, trying to talk about this stuff. So again, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Go check out the Mandalorian podcast. Go check out other YouTube videos on our channel here. Council Sessions, Master Lure, trying to pick up on those a little bit going into the new year. Going to have a more steady release schedule here soon. So again, thank you so much for this year. Thank you so much for contributing and watching. I really appreciate it. It really does help, and it really does motivate me to do new things and to keep going. So again, thank you very much. Have a great New Year's. See you in January. May the Force be with you.